Hi, I'm Rachel and I'm an artisan cheesemaker and dairy goat farmer here in Wales. It's very rare for outdoor grazing to feature on dairy goat farms in the UK, and my Nuffield project started from the question of whether a pasture-based system could ever work at commercial scale with dairy goats in the UK, and what would be needed to make it possible and viable if so.
When Fraser and I started farming goats in 2015, nearly all the experts we spoke to told us that there was only one way to viably farm goats in the UK, and that was to keep them permanently housed. The list of reasons why includes that goats are Mediterranean animals that can't tolerate cold and wet, that goats are browsers, not grazers, and won't eat grass, that goats don't develop immunity to worms like sheep and cows do, so your grazing goats will soon be riddled with worms which are notoriously complicated to treat. Oh, plus goats are famous for escaping.
Sounds quite off-putting, right?
Well, I suppose I like a challenge, and I couldn't put it out of my mind what we know about the cheese-buying public's strong preference for farm animals to be kept in free-range conditions. We also know many cow dairy farmers use grazed grass as the main engine of their ration, not just because it looks good on Instagram, but because it is a great business model. The grazing cow, who, unlike you or me, has nothing better to do with her time, harvests her own food when that food is freshest and juiciest, and in so doing saves you all the trouble and cost of harvesting and feeding her that grass yourself. I started to wonder if we goat farmers had mistaken a risk for an opportunity when it came to grazing, and I applied to Nuffield after developing an obsession with the idea that there was a pasture-based system out there in the world which could actually work for dairy goats in the UK. My study tour took me to 3 different continents and 8 different countries, chosen for having similar non-Mediterranean climates to the UK. And I was also keen to learn lessons from our friends milking cows in pasture-based systems, so about a third of my visits were to dairy cow farms. So my first main finding is, yes, there are grazing-based systems out there that would work in the UK. I saw dairy goats outside in the cold, wet climate of Norway. I saw dairy goats eating grass and grazing. I saw herds of up to 1,500 goats being grazed without issues of goats escaping, and only one of the farms I visited had significant problems with parasites. The common themes were good electric fencing, use of a mixed sward designed to be palatable to goats, and planning the grazing to allow for long rest periods between grazings. Some of the most successful and thought-provoking systems I saw were those using a tree and shrub-rich environment to lean into the goats' natural preferences rather than trying to shoehorn them into a system designed for sheep or cows. Many of those barriers we think of to grazing goats, parasites, lack of shelter, lack of willingness to eat, completely disappear when goats are farmed like this. My second main finding is that grass is not a free lunch. For all its attractions as an efficient and low-cost farming system, those getting a lot out of pasture-based dairy are also putting a lot in. Pasture-based dairy requires a mind shift change in which you think of yourself as primarily farming the pasture rather than the animals, and where you select your animals specifically to stay healthy in this system. Simplicity and efficiency are crucial to success of pasture-based dairy, and where milk yield is concerned, you need to recognise that sometimes enough is more valuable to you than more. A moderately yielding animal can do better on a cheaper, simpler ration and stay healthier and live longer than an animal who is putting all her energy into lactation.
My third and final Nuffield message to would-be pasture-based goat farmers in the UK is this. If you want to change your system, you will need a system for change. You can have all the right knowledge about pasture-based dairy and about goats, but knowledge alone will not be enough to bring about system change on your farm.
To make change happen, you need a clear, simple vision of what you want for your farm. You need to understand that you yourself are the key resource driving the change process, and give yourself enough time and space away from the day-to-day grind of milking and routine farm work. You need to focus on making small changes which add up, and remember that it's better to focus on what is achievable rather than what is perfect. And lastly, you need to put in place a team around your farm and find a peer group going through the same things as you to give you the support and accountability you need. Will it be easy for people to start adopting pasture-based systems when there are so few goat-based examples to follow in this country? Absolutely not. But I do now know where to start, and I can't wait to continue our journey putting this into practice with our herd on our new farm in Carmarthenshire.